Okay, so thank you very much to Professor Distler, who is available with us to talk about the results of the Riociguat trial in systemic sclerosis. So, Professor Distler, was the scientific background justifying a randomized clinical trial of Riociguat in systemic sclerosis?
So the background was that Riociguat is already approved for vascular manifestations of scleroderma. In particular, it is approved for scleroderma PAH. And there's also evidence from small studies that it might be effective in other vascular manifestations like Raynaud's phenomenon. On top, there are good preclinical data in several animal models and in vitro analysis that Riociguat also has antifibrotic effects and might target fibrotic manifestations. And that was the reason why a clinical trial was designed to target overall disease and fibrotic manifestations in scleroderma.
And would you like to comment on the results of the trial?
So the primary endpoint was the change of the modified Rodnan skin score in 1 year. And actually that primary endpoint was not met in terms of a statistical significance. The p-value was 8% and the given statistical significance p-value is 5%, so the primary endpoint was not met. However, there are a couple of secondary analysis and post-hoc analysis that indicate that there was actually an effect of Riociguat, which however then cannot no longer be statistically tested because the primary endpoint is not met. That included prevention of progression of skin fibrosis. It included stabilization of forced vital capacity in patients with lung fibrosis. It included a physician-reported outcome that was remarkably different, and there was a trend in patient-reported outcomes, overall disease outcome. And that indicates actually that there might be an effect. The p-value is just not met. Actually, there is indications in secondary outcomes. Also, the number of severe organ manifestations was less in Riociguat than in placebo, and all the other ones that I mentioned. So I think the conclusion is primary endpoint not met. It's a negative study, that has to be stated clearly. However, there are a couple of secondary endpoints that indicated that there is an effect.
Okay, thank you. And do you think this might have some impact on the future application of this drug in clinical practice or in other clinical trials?
So we are learning a lot from the clinical trials that have been presented today. This study was designed based on EUSTAR data, actually, to prevent progression of skin fibrosis, and we were successful in that. We have also learned that the skin score, the modified Rodnan skin score, is a challenging primary outcome, and it needs discussion whether that should be continued to be a primary or more supportive or an endpoint that is embedded in other endpoints in a combined index.
Okay. Thank you very much.